Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Manifestation Mondays with River City Homebuyers. This Manifestation Monday is significant because it is our last Manifestation Monday in quarter three. So, this is a big time of revisiting and reflecting for business owners. And also, a lot of people do this at a personal level as well. So you're kind of going back and you're looking at what your rocks and your goals and your standards were for quarter three, and really taking a close and honest and very transparent look at what you accomplished, what you were successful in, and also where did you fall a little bit short, and really kind of examining what were the reasons for the falling short part. Celebrate the successes and also identify what were the habits, what were the regular, consistent practices that you put into place that manifested your successful goals, the things that you were able to achieve, because you definitely had to have put some very consistent practices into place and some accountability into place, some discipline in your practice of what you do every day in order to accomplish those. So celebrate those, that's great. And also carefully examine the ones that you didn't quite achieve. And when you look at those, you should kind of break it down into the things that are out of your control and the things that are within your control. Because it's very likely that some of what you maybe did not achieve in quarter three may have been things that were outside of your control, like the market, maybe clients canceling deals or falling out of commitments and maybe not following through. And then there's the things that are within your control. And that's where the habits and the being consistent and the tweaking, right? So it's great to have goals and it's great to have these in place. You have to have them, it's very necessary. But the standards are so much more important than the goal themselves. And what were the standards that were in place for the ones that you didn't quite touch, for the ones that you didn't either get to, didn't accomplish, or they kind of failed in some way? So take a look at those steps and standards, those practices, those habits, and ask yourself, did I do any of these differently over here on the ones that I was successful on than the ones that I wasn't so successful on? Can I identify the difference? And on the inside of my control part, not the outside of my control. But were there things that were in my control on these standards for the ones I didn't accomplish? For example, I know for myself, I had a few, and I wasn't quite as disciplined in going at those. And of course, the result was I didn't achieve exactly what I wanted to in those particular ones. So in going into quarter four, I've changed a lot of things and tweaked a lot of things, and definitely put a much more regimented and consistent marketing schedule, prospecting schedule, networking schedule, and time to be on my job sites on my personal flips and projects. So I'm really hoping to see substantial growth and success on the goals that I'm setting for quarter four. And my rocks are clearly identified. So if you're not familiar with rocks, rocks are priorities. And as you go into each quarter, it's important, and I was reading about this in Traction. I think I kind of pushed this book a little bit last week. This was recommended by Jackie Hare, and her group, and I am very, very grateful for the recommendations. The book is amazing. A lot of it, I have to kind of modify the thought process because I don't have an office full of employees that I'm dealing with. I have, people that work virtually, and then I have my vendors and my subs. So it's a little different for me because I'm pretty much having to do some of these steps independently, where most people are, have a leadership team that they're bringing together. But at the moment, I am my leadership team, but I don't skip the steps. Okay, so that's what's important. And we all know that traction is staying grounded, right? Staying firm on your foundation. Basketball players choose very particular basketball shoes so that they don't slip all over on the court. Soccer players wear cleats so they're not sliding across the grass. Your car, your tires are designed to provide traction on the road. So how do you stay grounded and firm? And traction not only allows you to stay grounded and stay firm, but it allows you to build momentum, to navigate yourself in and out of corners and twists and turns. If you have good firm traction, you can navigate those things that come about that maybe you weren't expecting and that you didn't see coming. So rocks are priorities that you set for each quarter. And it's important that if you're like me and it's just you, that's great. But for the most part, there's a lot more people in each organization, in each business, in each office. And it's very critical that you meet with all your people and that they understand very clearly what the rocks are for the next quarter. And everybody understands that rocks, these are our priorities. These are the things that absolutely must happen in the next 90 days. And I think it's great that you identify those, and you have to identify them, you have to name them, and you have to make sure everybody is very clear that, hey, these are our rocks for quarter 4. Okay, so we're ending quarter 3 right now. What are your rocks for quarter 4? What are your priorities? What are the things that have to happen in quarter 4 to close out your year successfully? And here's what I'm going to add to that. The rocks are your priority, okay? The goal is to achieve all those, right? To check them all off at the end of quarter 4. That's the goal. The goal is to make sure that you manifest all of those rocks and priorities into reality. So here's the catch. What are the steps? What are the standards? What are the little pebbles that you have to have in place individually and as an organization, if that applies to you? What are the standards and steps that have to be in place in order for you to achieve the goals, in order for you to accomplish those rocks? So don't ignore the standards and steps. Don't ignore the habits. Those are the key. Those are what really have to be in place. Everyone has to understand clearly what they are and how to implement them every day, all the time, without excuses. A very wise person, colleague of mine, most of you know him, Obie Dorsey, said to me years ago, you can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And it's really become like a mantra in my business life, in my personal life. And it's so important to really wrap your head around that when it comes to setting your rocks, setting your standards to achieve your goals. So this week, manifest one of your smaller or larger priorities. Manifest one of your goals or one of your practices or one of your standards. Maybe you need to get the standard down and the habit down so that it creates the result, right? So manifest that this week. Bring that into practice. Bring that into reality. Make that small change. Make that atomic small change in what you do and start doing it consistently. Start today and see what kind of difference you have in your results when you're evaluating quarter 4 to when you're evaluating quarter 3. I'd love to hear what some of your rocks are. Please comment on this video with what your rocks are, what your standards are, how you're going to get to that place, and what you're going to do to manifest the habits and the standards that you need to get to where you want to go so you can finish this year out strong. Have a wonderful week, everybody. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, River City Homebuyers 904. Have a fantastic week.